So I'm going to surprise everybody.
Yeah.
I'm very much Dominic Calvert-Lewin in. And that may be quite controversial. Hello, it's your Geordie journals. We had these grand plans. We've done this before, Jordan, haven't we?
You have.
We had grand plans about being at the coast. Give you guys, we see like everybody watching from Australia, from America, from wherever, and we thought we'd give you a little taste of like the North Tyneside sunset down here at the coast.
There's the St Mary's Lighthouse.
St Mary's Lighthouse. But obviously, as you can probably hear in your earphones, it is so windy. So what we're going to do is, Jordan's going to do a little pan around, give you a little taste of the northeast from afar, and then we'll find somewhere a little bit more sheltered to have a little bit of a transfer conversation. Right, so we've retired to somewhere slightly less windy. I will go into the community and put a little photo of the setup we've got here to get this video done. We're in the Delaval Arms.
Delaval Arms.
Your first time here, isn't it?
Yeah, beautiful.
It is beautiful. We're in this kind of courtyard. We'll do a little pan around so you guys can see that we'll cut over the top of this to let you know where it is if you don't know. Right, we're going to talk transfers, aren't we?
Transfers.
That's what you guys wanted.
Yeah.
Got me phone here. In the community.
I'll let you get you involved.
Put a little post for questions, see what kind of content you guys want from us this summer. And I've focused on one question in particular from Holo Molo 8. So thank you very much.
It's a great name.
It is a great name.
Holo Molo.
Regular contributor, does contribute to the videos quite a lot. Thank you very much for all of your contributions. Before we go into Holo Molo 8's question, I want to make sure I get through the T's and C's, as we haven't said that for a while, have we?
T's and C's.
T's and C's. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Not this time though. You can do it. But the T's and C's I was going to talk about is, of course, as will be in one of the corners of this video, Four Rivers Financial Planning. If you require any finance or investment or pension advice, go to Four Rivers. They're the men with the answers. They know what they're doing, and they're kind sponsors of all Geordie Journo's long form videos. So thank you very much to them, and thank you very much to everybody else out there. Do give this video a like if you like what we do. Holo Molo 8, thank you for your question. What they've asked is, and this is going to be we're going to trial some shorter form videos, aren't we? Maybe 15-minute shots so you guys can fire your questions in, and we'll maybe answer those questions that you guys put to us this summer. Yeah. I'll put regular posts out in the community. If you don't follow that, do get involved, but I'll put them in there and answer the posts, and there's a chance that your Geordie journals could be all three of us. Dom, of course, isn't here because he's away camping somewhere, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't know where. Camping's not my thing, shall we say. I'm sure there's plenty of you campers out there, but I'm not one of them.
No, it's not. I'm not massive on the outdoorsy experience. No. Put me in a nice lodge instead of instead of in a field with somewhere. I take the kids camping, but don't tell them it's not my thing. Right, Holo Molo 8's question, or maybe it's a bit of a question or just a statement. Transfers. He wants to know the transfers that we think have a chance of happening. I think the best way we've decided to address this is by talking about all of the rumours that are out there at present and weaving in a little bit of the information and knowledge that we have about those transfers, about the situation in general as well at Newcastle United this summer. Yeah. Where do you want to start? I'll leave it to you, really. Should we start from the back and move forwards? Or do you want to start right up top? Because up top's probably the...
Yeah, I think we should go up top.
Should we go up top? Right, so right, Jordan, Dominic Calvert-Lewin would be one that's been linked with. So let's talk about the likelihood of that happening and your particular thoughts on that deal.
Yeah, well, we discussed in the car on the way down, and I'm sure the viewers will be pleased to know that we've got different views. So we're not going to sit here and agree with each other on Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but I'm in the camp of absolute no-go. Talk of selling Callum Wilson because of his injury record. You only have to look as far as Calvert-Lewin in terms of an English striker who has probably got a similar injury record, and that's why, for me, I just don't see why Newcastle should invest a rumoured £25 million. I'm not saying that will be the price, but if that was to be the figure that you'd have to pay to Everton to get Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I would be tempted to look elsewhere. And look, the question of that is, where do you go? Who else do you go? Where else can you find that sort of proven Premier League striker? And I don't think you can, because I don't think 25 million in real terms gets you a quality Premier League striker. But I think that's what we've sort of discussed previously, is with Callum Wilson, quality Premier League striker, worth a lot of money if he was younger, less injury free. Callum Wilson would be worth a lot of money. So the debate we've always had is, should we trade in Callum Wilson and sign a more reliable backup? And that's where I feel Newcastle's intention should lie. And as Dominic Calvert-Lewin, that player that's going to be a reliable backup to Alexander Isak, then I don't think so. I think maybe this season you might look at the games he's played, and I think one thing Sean Dyche has done really well this season, managed these minutes, but there's been times when he has been able to start him in games. Even the game at St James's Park when Dominic Calvert-Lewin came off the bench and scored the penalty, Sean Dyche felt he was going to be playing for that final 20 minutes in that game. So I suppose if in sort of real terms, would that be helpful in Newcastle? Possibly, but I just want someone that you know is going to be fit and dependable, and I do think with Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he arrives at that question mark over his head in terms of that fitness. If you can guarantee his fitness, I would take him in a heartbeat, because I think he's a very good Premier League striker. But for me, when you've got an injury record of Callum Wilson's, you talk about selling Callum Wilson, and then you go,
I get it, yeah.
Yeah, there's not an injury record. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, actually his injury record is probably quite similar to Callum Wilson. So for me, yeah, two injured players, I'd rather, if I was going to trade off Callum Wilson, I'd rather get a dependable backup in, and I don't think Dominic Calvert-Lewin is that man.
So I'm going to surprise everybody.
Yeah.
I'm very much Dominic Calvert-Lewin in. And that may be quite controversial. My initial reaction when the links came about was not surprised. I know he's a player that Newcastle United have been tracking for a very long time.
Yeah.
Eddie Howe's a big fan. The scouting team have been involved in and around. There's been some brief flirtations of conversations, I know, from a couple of years back, where it was, is he available? Can we get him? What's the price? I think it was the summer, my memory's terrible, but I'm sure it was the summer of Isak, where Calvert-Lewin was very much in the frame.
Yeah.
And then it turned to João Pedro, and then it suddenly became Alexander Isak again, having that Isak had gone cold because it was a lot of money for the player that they weren't sure they were going to sign at the start of summer for whatever reasons, but that's probably a video for another day. Dominic Calvert-Lewin has seemingly, I know you said he's been managing minutes, got over those sort of injury issues that he had. We're talking about this, who was the second best striker in a low pool, really, not an amazing pool, but the second best striker in England, English football, English qualified striker. So I think there's a player there. He's 5 years younger than Callum Wilson, and I'm a big fan of Callum Wilson. Wilson's an amazing striker for me. It just comes down to availability. It's not a talent thing. And if you can sign somebody, I would almost argue, if you can sign somebody who doesn't score as many goals as Callum Wilson, but is available more, you would get more out of Alexander Isak. To be able to take the workload off him, you don't need a striker because you've already got the goals. You just need somebody to come in and take the workload off him. And that's where I think if Calvert-Lewin's body is robust enough now, then that will be a good move for him. I think he only has a year left on his contract. That also makes it intriguing. And then let's talk about the PSR implications. You bank 10 million, say, for Callum Wilson, spend 25 to 30 on a Calvert-Lewin, and spread that across the 5 years. It's a small dent in your transfer spend. So to me, it kind of feels, if a deal can be done, I wouldn't be against it. The other forward option, because we're going to try and keep this short, the other forward option is Jared Bowen.
Yeah.
Are we even going to... Look...
Do I have to touch over it?
We do, but I think we're probably both going to be of the same camp as... If I say this, you'll probably nod along, that it seems like the information that we have, it's the most ludicrous suggestion ever that Jared Bowen would end up at Newcastle United.
Yeah,
it could happen. It could happen.
Yeah.
It's not saying, we're saying it couldn't, but we're giving you our feel for these transfers, and you get a feel for them from the bits people speak to, people you know, the feel in the game, it would be a long shot to say that Jared Bowen would end up at St James's Park.
Yeah, absolutely not. I think Jared Bowen is a player that would be an absolutely unbelievable signing, but Jared Bowen is a player that
he's almost perfect for that right-hand side.
Absolutely,
he is, yeah.
Absolutely, and it's almost like a dream signing, if you like, but to sign a player like Jared Bowen would cost a lot of money, and you've also got to tempt him away from a club that he's really comfortable at. He's settled down there with a family. You mentioned in the car on the way down, Jared Bowen. He's family. Danny Dyer. He's partner. Danny Dyer, the dad. Massive West Ham.
West Ham daft. He's a hero.
Yeah, exactly. And he signed a 7-year contract in, I think it was late last year or earlier this year. It was one of the two. It was recent anyway. So to get Jared Bowen away would cost a lot of money, and you've also got to convince the player as well. And I don't think there's many clubs that could convince Jared Bowen to leave West Ham unless it is a top.
So I'm saying,
6,
I'm going to come in. Yeah, we're talking about this.
Yeah.
I think there's 5 clubs.
Yeah, and I agree.
In this country that Jared Bowen leaves for, and I don't think any of them are Newcastle United.
And that's just because Newcastle, for as much as they want to be there, competing in the Champions League every year, they want to be challenged for league titles. They will be there eventually, but they're not quite there yet.
So this to me ties in a little bit. I'm going to go on a slight tangent. I'll try and not keep it too long. Ties into the Calvert-Lewin argument as well. When you're looking for a striker to potentially compete with Alexander Isak, it's very difficult to go out and get another first choice striker because Man City could do it, but even they don't do it. So you go to Manchester City as second choice to Erling. Alfinger? That's a throwback. Showing me age. Erling Haaland, you know that you're going to play 25 games probably across 4 competitions and pick up at least 1 medal at the end of the season. Newcastle United still can't offer that. And there is only one striker going to be number 1 at Newcastle United next season. Alexander Isak, when fit, he plays. So you're always going to become Newcastle United as a second fiddle without any guarantees on the back end of that. So it's a difficult one to sign. Jared Bowen's the same thing, and this ties into the 5 clubs. I think because he's in that West Ham daft clique, he's settled, he's a hero, he's won something there, remember, as well.
Yeah.
I think that already rules out Newcastle and Tottenham because they don't deliver anything that he would want to complete the set in his career, really. The ones that do, Chelsea, although that might seem controversial, but they win things. Manchester United, it may seem controversial again, but the size of that football club, they win things. Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester City already speak for themselves. I think that's probably the only clubs at this stage, this summer, would have any chance of going for a Jared Bowen. And I think unless he's had some bizarre change of feeling or there is some kind of weird clause in there that Newcastle feel they can tempt, then I think it's a non-starter. Yeah,
I agree. And we're talking about Jared Bowen at a big price. The stories they could have him a couple of years ago under Steve Bruce, but
they could have. I remember that
it was
happening.
the January, wasn't the deadline day. D was ready to go. Great to come, but Mr. Mike Ashley wouldn't pay the money. So
tight arse Mike wouldn't put his hands up.
But yeah, I do think the situation with Jared Bowen is a dream signing, but a reality. The reality of Newcastle at this moment in time is they aren't up there with the big clubs as of yet, which there will be eventually, but not quite now. And I think that rules them out of the Jared Bowen race, unless, as you mentioned, there's maybe a sneaky clause in there where they might be able to exploit, but I'm doubtful of that.
So we'll go through the rest of them. The question was a Holo Molo was suggesting transfers we think have got an opportunity to happen and ones that don't. So what we're going through now is addressing all the little rumours that you've probably seen in there and our reasonably well-informed professional take on where we think things might go. We could be wrong. We've been wrong before, we'll be wrong again. It's not an exact science when it comes to transfer windows. We'll just put that caveat in there. But do like this video if you're enjoying it. So let's move a little bit further back. There's been a lot of goalkeeper talk, so we'll quickly fire through the rumours of goalkeeper, and then there's been a few defensive rumours as well, which probably is a nice close to come in, because we definitely think at least
one of them will get done.
It feels 1.5 done, doesn't it? Yeah. In that sort of position. So the goalkeepers, I'll name the 3, and you talk through what you think is the various connotations. Is it Marmadashvili? Valencia?
You're asking
the wrong man, aren't
I? I'm not one for pronunciation. James Trafford, who's away with England at the minute, of course, from Burnley. End of the season is Burnley's second choice.
and Aaron Ramsdale, who's also Arsenal's second choice and involved. What's the various twos and fro's you could see in that position?
I thought the only one I see sort of genuine interest in, if you like, is I think the Ramsdale connection because of the Eddie Howe link, because Eddie Howe signed Ramsdale for Bournemouth, and I think Ramsdale's position now where he feels a bit put out at Arsenal. He went in there as a year's number one and then found himself playing second fiddle to David Raya. So I do think there's probably a situation there where they can exploit if they really want Aaron Ramsdale. At what cost does that come at?
That's the price, isn't it?
And I think that's probably the conversation I would have around the goalkeepers, is in terms of budgets, etc. You have to look at priorities this summer. Is the goalkeeper a priority position? I would probably say yes now, because of having watched Martin Dubravka for 6 months. Because Nick Pope, I think, is a top goalkeeper on his day, got his faults with his distribution, but I do actually think he's better with his distribution than people give him credit for. He's great, but I think he's improved since coming to Newcastle. But my biggest fear would be that if Nick Pope was to get injured again and you had a fallback of Martin Dubravka, for example, it could cost Newcastle points, which I think it did in the last season, if we can call it that now. Can we call it last season now? Feels recent. But I do think out of the injuries, Nick Pope was probably the biggest, in my opinion. So I do think a goalkeeper is probably essential this summer, but it's all, I suppose, all budget dependent, isn't it? Do you focus on other areas? This is things that Eddie Howe's got to balance up, which is very difficult. But yeah, those three goalkeepers, Ramsdale I would be in favour of. James Trafford.
Why Ramsdale?
Because I think he's probably England's second best goalkeeper behind Jordan Pickford.
I do think it leaves you in an interesting situation though, because I don't think Nick Pope would be very happy about becoming a number two. I almost think signing Ramsdale sets another fire off. Like you bring Ramsdale in, it brings the end to Pope, probably, because Ramsdale would displace him. Yeah. So I think it's a Ramsdale be walking from the frying pan into the fire when he's had the same situation. He's been on the back end of an Arsenal. He would be walking at the same thing. But Eddie Howe's a big fan. Sign him. He's a huge fan. I would be in favour of Ramsdale. I like the quality that he's got. Less in favour of Trafford, but he's a very young goalkeeper. And I can see where it ticks the box that if you're not going to go out and outwardly replace Nick Pope then you probably have to try and sign the next generation. And is he the next generation? He certainly looks like it domestically, but looks like a very young keeper who's still got a lot to learn to me.
Absolutely. Still only young, and I think probably for a goalkeeper sense, how old was Trafford? 22, 23, around about that age?
No, he's younger. He's 20, man.
Is he?
He's 2021. He's very young.
So goalkeepers have longer careers than outfield players, so it almost takes them longer to almost come into their own a little bit.
So let's think about the only goalkeeping prodigy that anybody out there probably will know at Newcastle United we had at some point was Freddie Woodman, wasn't it? And it took Freddie Woodman was still Newcastle's second choice when he was 24. It takes people time to be playing at the top level. So I just wonder with Trafford, he maybe has been thrown in quite deep, quite early in his career. And he may learn from him, he may not. But I haven't been amazed by what I've seen from him so far. And I'll be honest, on the Georgian fella, something doesn't sound right. That's all I'll say on that one. Because I don't know the ins and outs of the transfer, but, listening to what I hear, something's not quite right with that. And I can't put my finger on what's not quite right, but it just doesn't make sense.
It's being pushed from the Spain end, isn't there? Certain sources in Spain where they seem to be really pushing it in. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say I know an awful lot about Marmadashvili. I think that's how you pronounce it. Yeah. Well, everyone knows what I'm talking about.
The Georgian boy.
Yeah, the Georgian boy. I don't know a lot about him. I mean, I like to look at him on a YouTube highlights reel, but
he's a big boy, isn't he? Yeah, big lad.
He is, and I think he's distribution, etc., which is, we always talk of goalkeepers now. You look at the two best goalkeepers in the Premier League, Alisson, Edison. It's distribution that makes them stand out from the rest, as well as just shot stopping as well. I'm going on a tangent here, but you're right. Something doesn't feel. It doesn't feel quite right, that one. It could happen. We're not going to sit here and rule it out totally, but the way it's being pushed, it doesn't feel like. You
get a spidey sense for these things, don't you? You kind of, and something not right about that doesn't mean it won't happen, but it's something not right about it. If you want our opinion, that's our opinion, and we'll finish this one on the central defensive talk. I mean, let's be quick about it. Lloyd Kelly, we believe that's happening, don't we?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much there. And then, of course...
I've said on videos before that I've got concerns about Lloyd Kelly, and it's purely about availability again. It's not on ability. Ability, I think he's a good footballer, very good footballer, good Premier League performer, still got room for growth at 25, he can get better. But his availability is a problem. The one who is always available is Tosin I'm as bad as you.
Adebayo?
That's you're right, yeah. Tosin, he's got options. And it was always going to be this way, by the way.
Yeah. No. When there was talk of it being done a week ago, that didn't feel right at the time, and because of I think the Newcastle not qualifying for Europe has changed the dynamic a little bit, because now there's talk of Chelsea coming in. Chelsea can't offer European football, as you would as a free agent. You would just wait to see what happens, wouldn't you? And it would almost be like, well, actually, I'll use Newcastle as leverage, and I might go there. I might possibly go there,
yeah.
But I'm not going to commit quite yet, because I'm still taking a contract at Fulham. The window is still young. It's not even open yet. But you get what I mean. The season's just finished. Maybe I'll just stick it out a little bit longer to see who comes forward. And then if I'm happy with the Newcastle deal and I think Newcastle's right club for me, I'll take it. But I'm also hoping to see what else is out there. And I think that's the situation with Tosin. That's at least the feel I get from it anyway.
Some very bad lessons from history. Go back to Steve Bruce's first summer. 2 free transfers Newcastle signed. And all the talk of Jeff Hendrick was Manchester United and AC Milan.
Yeah, it was.
And it dragged on, and it didn't happen straight away, and eventually it happened. So there's a lesson. Ryan Fraser was all Arsenal and Tottenham, and we know he didn't really want to sign for Newcastle. He's still a Newcastle United player, but we know he didn't want to sign. He thought he was going to Arsenal. That got on well with his former agent, who he binned just before that summer.
Didn't get me Arsenal move, that's right.
He didn't get him the Arsenal move, and I think we all know why. His agent was telling him, "You're a bit deluded, mate. We're not going to get that move. Take Newcastle." That's what he was telling him. And Ryan Fraser had ideas that he would go a bit further. And now he's ended up at Southampton. Maybe lucky if that deal happens, I still think it's a lot of money for a player, when Southampton will be thinking, is he a gateway player to the Premier League, and is he a player that's going to deliver for in the Premier League? They're two very different performers. So I would say on the Tosin situation, these things do play out, and a lot of it happens in public because there's a lot of money involved, and he's got good options, and he's a good Premier League performer. And if Newcastle do get a deal over the line, and we still believe they're right as one of the favourites in this mix, it will be a good deal for everybody, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, big fan of both players.
You've talked about Tosin for a long time, actually.
I have, yeah.
You've been banging that drums for probably season and a half.
Yeah, I said last summer I think I should have gone for him because he was in the final year of his contract. I think there was talk last summer of him never playing for Fulham ever again. Then all of a sudden he obviously sorted out his situation, played again, and then towards the back end of the season told him he was to sign a new contract, and then didn't play for the final 4 games. So I think he's a really good performer. I think he's still quite raw. I do think he's got an error in him, but I do, in terms of a centre half, a player that can play out with the ball, good with his feet, good size. I think there's a lot of I think there's a lot of attributes there that would come out strong if he was to work on Eddie Howe, but we'll wait and see if that happens or not. But fingers crossed it does, because I would be a big in favour of Tosin coming.
One thing about Tosin, in my opinion, he's got a mistake in him, but that doesn't mean he's bad. I think that's why you like the Geordie journals, because we've got a mistake in him, but we always produce the goods, and we're generally quite good. I think that's a good place to end. Quick mention at the end: like, comment, share, subscribe for all your Geordie journals content, but also check the bio. 4 Rivers Financial Planning. Would love to hear from you if you've got any need for pensions advice. We're still in the Delaval Arms. We're probably going to stay a little bit longer.
Mine hasn't gone down too fast, so
I'm swilling as I'm talking.
I was thinking not. I was told that the video was finished.
Yeah, sorry about that. You're more professional than me, but we've always known that.
Depends who you are.
That's an inside joke. If only you knew. Well, I'd like to give you a little bit of personality. We're in the Delaval Arms. It's been good. I hope everybody who watches all around the world got a nice little taste of us being around. We'll try and do that this summer. We'll try and get about the place. Again, any suggestions for questions, any suggestions you want me to go and do you want me to do videos from, anything you want to see, we'll be happy to get involved. We're at your mercy this summer on the Geordie Journals. So from the Delaval Arms, he was Jordan Cronin. Dominic Skur was trying to light a fire somewhere in a forest. and I'm Liam Kennedy. So like, comment, share, subscribe for all your Geordie Journals content.